So Mercury retrograde now moving into Pisces, very murky time for us all. Lots of misinformation and propaganda can come up, and being aware of that. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, She Tells Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at She Tells Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. Welcome to the Astro forecast for the week of March 24th through the 30th. This is a very full week astrologically. We start out the week on Monday, March 24th in a fourth quarter moon phase in Capricorn. So this Capricorn moon is going to help us organize ourselves, to organize our emotions, to help us structure some of the week, because there's going to be a lot going on here in our lives. Things are picking up. We are in Aries season, and yet things aren't really moving ahead too much because we have Mars in Cancer, which is still very much a feely sign, and we have Mercury retrograde in Aries, and we have Venus retrograde in Aries. So these are impulsive signs, but it is not a time to be impulsive. So patience is needed. Slowing down is needed, even though we are in fire sign Aries and we are in this astrological new year. It's not sort of feeling like it's full steam ahead just yet. And I think we're going to feel more of that full steam ahead in April, actually May 1st, I think is when we're going to really feel that. So Monday, March 24th, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde. So the Sun is our vitality, it's the energy, our identity, and the Sun is in Aries now, and Mercury is retrograde in Aries. So it's moving backwards through the zodiac because it's going slower than the Earth mathematically. It is not actually going backwards in the sky, but it's going slower than the Earth. So things are starting to catch up, and the Sun is caught up to Mercury. And when we have these two planets come together, we call that cazimi, meaning Mercury is in the heart of the Sun. And it is a time for mental clarity. You know, the Sun is illuminating the other planet that's in its heart. Mercury is a planet of the mind, of thought processing, of communication, our communities, connection within our communities, our coordination. It is the messenger god. And so when we have the Sun and Mercury come together, we can get mental clarity meets reflection because it's in retrograde. So this is a great day for reviewing past decisions, gaining new insights on old projects or ideas. You might find that reflecting on past actions gains clarity, and you revisit old projects with new perspective. So this is a really beautiful day for ahas, for reviewing, going over things, taxes, things that you need to sort of really go over and get maybe some aha moments. I mean, taxes require more details, and it's a little bit more refined than an Aries energy would sort of be supportive of. But there's definitely some big ahas that can come out. But be careful of impatience and frustration, because you are moving slower than you would like. Now, when when two planets come together, it's called a conjunction. They come together at the exact same degree. It is a starting point. It is a point where something it's the beginning of a cycle. So when we think about the Sun and Mercury coming together, but Mercury is retrograde, so meaning now it's going to be going slower than the Sun is going to be faster than it. And when Mercury starts to speed up after it's finished its retrograde, it will catch up with the sun again. So there'll be another conjunction. So this is sort of the beginning of something. I love watching these cycles. So the next time the sun and Mercury are going to come together is going to be on May 30th, and this will be in Gemini. So Gemini is a sign of cerebral. It's very doing, thinking, it's communicative, it's very much likes to act on things and go in the direction of its heart. So, in this moment of clarity and what you are refining, there's going to be a doing nature that's going to come out, and maybe even a speaking nature or putting it out into the world in some way that's going to come about on May 30th. So, pay attention to what you're thinking about now, and maybe even write a little bit in your journal about what you're thinking about, what you're dreaming about, what you're refining, and then put that little post-it note, on May 30th and see. I like to do that in my calendar, my digital calendar, where I'll just put these little notes of like things that I was thinking about on a cycle that correlates to those days, and see how now this theme is taking off, or how you've refined this further, or what you're wanting to speak about or bring about into the world. On Tuesday, March 25th, we have Mercury sextile to Pluto, and Mercury again retrograde. So, this is a deep thinking day. This aspect enhances mental sharpness, research skills, and powerful conversations. If you're stuck on a problem, you may find the missing piece today. So, this is really great for uncovering hidden truths, revisiting old ideas, for investigations, for digging deeper into things, and gaining clarity. This is not a good day to obsess about the past and fixate on things. Pluto can be fixation. So we really want to guard against fixation and overthinking, and just being in that mode where your mind is so penetrating on something that it's actually not helpful and a detriment to your mental health. So, really, just allowing things to kind of come to the surface. A really great thing would be to talk it out, or to journal something that is kind of you've been ruminating on, and bring it to a finish. On Thursday, March 27th, we have Venus now going back through into Pisces. So she has been on the 0 degree mark of Aries for a little bit. So this is making us very passionate. And again, it is not a time to make big moves. It's not a time to make bold decisions, right? Mercury and Venus are retrograde. Venus rules our desires, what we love, what we value, money, beauty, aesthetics, creativity. So when Venus is retrograde, it's not a time to make big money moves, not to make big investments, to make big decisions around money. I literally have an opportunity to do something that is a big investment. It would be for next year. And I literally told the person, I can't get back to you until Venus is done and Mercury is done retrograde. So probably May. And she's like, okay. Again, you probably don't want to be doing work with an astrologer if you don't understand the systems, because that will guard against me making a very bad decision in this moment that feels really good right now, because Venus moving into Pisces is rose colored glasses. This is everything feels dreamy, everything feels possible. And this is a time when you can really spend a lot of money, and it's not good for you. It's not good for you. So Venus now going back into Pisces brings nostalgia, emotional healing, deep reflection on money and love, but it can also bring fog. It can bring like everything feels good to you. This is when the ex starts to call you and you're like, maybe we can try it out. Maybe the problems of the past weren't so bad. And I'm going to tell you they were so bad. Don't do it, right? It's not the time. Seeing lots of things on my feed about people wanting to get tattoos right now and getting their hair cut. And it's fine if you've been thinking about it. And you know what? You have free will. Go do what you want to do. But what I'll say is, why don't just wait? Why not just wait another month? If this is something that's meant for you, that tattoo will be available to you in a month. And you'll have more clarity. You might have more money. You might have more awareness around it in some way, or something about the tattoo artist might come to light. You never know. Just wait a month, let Venus show you all the things, and then make a really informed decision. Could you do it now? Sure, you can. And with all this Aries energy, you might feel like, you know what? No one gets to tell me what to do. Yes, that is correct. No one gets to tell you what to do. You have free will. And why not make an informed decision with all the information around you. And if it still feels like it's a yes on your heart in a month, then go and do it, right? There's no one's telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you to right time it. So, this energy of Venus retrograde into Pisces, reconnecting with your creativity, healing the past, embracing spirituality, your gifts. There's going to be a lot of intuition coming up now in the world. And this is not a time to ignore red flags. This is not a time to have rose colored glasses. This is not a time to trust someone who is peddling something that sounds so fantastical that you're like, this must be true for me. This is going to be a great fit for my life. I'm going to tell you, probably not. So just beware. Also on Thursday, we have Venus conjunct to Neptune. Neptune's also at those final degrees, and we're starting to see Neptune and another planet. There's two things. Neptune is spirituality, one love, empathy, compassion, creativity, connection to the divine, spirituality, psychicness, and when these two things come together, this is beautiful for romance, for deep spirituality, for creativity, for dream work, for working with your deep creativity. So, like creative writing, perhaps, or drawing, painting, taking a pottery class. Really great for that. Tapping into intuition, spiritual connections, meditation, a meditation retreat, a retreat with women where you're going deep into the depths of your soul. Fantastic. Not so great for spending money. Not so great for making big decisions in relationships. Not so great for making beauty aesthetic decisions about yourself. Cutting bangs, having tattoos, buying a big purchase, right? Changing your style. You might get all this like ideas about stuff now, but it is, again, not the time to make definitive decisions. This is great for fantasizing, for dreaming, for visualizing. And this, you won't know if it's true until you give it some time. So that's all I'm saying. Give it some time before you make some big decisions. Saturday, March 29th, we have the second, well, I'm going to say probably the third, because we had Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, then we had the eclipse, the lunar eclipse. Now we have the solar eclipse on Saturday, March 29th. That's the fourth biggest thing that's going to happen this month. And then we're going to have Neptune moving into Aries, which is also happening at the end of this month. So 5 big things happening in this month, and 2 of them are happening in this week. So Saturday, March 29th, we have the new moon solar eclipse at about the 9th degree of Aries. It's 8 degrees and 59 minutes. It's only 60 minutes in a degree, so it's about 9 degrees. So that's what I'm saying. 9 degrees of Aries. And it is happening at 6:58 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, or 4:58 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Eastern, sorry, I said 6:58 Eastern Standard Time, or 4:58 Mountain Standard Time, or 3:58 in the morning. If you're on Pacific time, if you're on the West Coast. So this is happening in the morning of Saturday, and it's a major new beginning. So this is a new moon. So the sun and the moon are the exact same degree of Aries at 8 degrees and 59 minutes. We're going to be exact. And it is happening near the north node of the moon this time. And this is our karmic destiny, where we are heading to as a collective. So this is a big new beginning for the collective. It is about our identity, courage, and leadership. This eclipse sets the stage for bold action and personal transformation. Where do you need to take charge in your life? Now, again, this is an eclipse. So in terms of setting intentions and manifesting and all that stuff, not really the time to do that. This is a time now to just ride the waves of what is coming in for you, and noticing where in your life that you haven't been taking bold action, or haven't been taking the reins around leadership, or you're noticing other people in leadership and you're like, well, I don't agree with that person, or why is this person in leadership, or I could do a better job, because that's where something is telling you that you are not stepping into your authority. Right? When there are people around you that are doing things that you're like, are they even qualified? I mean, we're in a leadership kind of change here in Canada, and there's been a lot of information on the webs and on social media about whether this is right or not right. It's actually all legal, y'all. I've been sharing a lot about the actual legal processes and election processes. I have an economics degree. I know that might shock you. It's business law and economics was my major, and politics and all that stuff actually fascinates me. It's so interesting. And if you don't understand how it all works, then you can think that there's something fraudulent going on. And where else does that happen in your life? So I've been really pointing out misinformation because I myself feel like, well, I mean, this is where we live. We should know how this works at the very minimum of it. And so, can I just share with you from a place of neutrality, whether you believe that this government is a good one or not, or you want another government party to at least understand the framework of how this all operates so that you can say this is fraudulent or not, because it's actually not fraudulent. So, as in this Aries energy, how it's coming up for me is noticing the era of misinformation and how so many people are being caught up in their fears around what they think is true and what's not. And so I've been really stepping more into that place of like, hey, just to let you know, this is actually the law, or this is actually the Elections Act, or this is actually what it is. Neutrality, like not. I'm sure everyone's get to be. You get to feel what you want to feel, and you get to choose a party that you want to feel a party with. But I think this, in my own opinion, is why we have a big problem in this world, is this divisiveness, right? And this divisiveness is us versus them, which is Aries and Libra, right? Us versus them. This is my thing. This is the only thing that's correct. And this government, if it's not this government, then it sucks. And the fact of the matter is, if you live in North America, we live in a democracy. And a democracy says that whoever gets the most votes is going to govern us. And so, even if we saw this in the US where the votes were so tight, it was really quite close. And so, half of America voted for one party and half of America voted for the other. So, now by democracy, whoever gets the most votes, even if it's just one more vote, gets to govern. So, that's part of living in a democracy. You have to then accept that you lost if you're not on the winning team, which is fine, right? But again, that winning team piece is now the governing body affects us all. So the governing body then should be looking to see is like, am I really serving the will of the people, or am I just serving my own will? Because you don't go into service in public office to just serve your own will. That's called a dictatorship, right? Or an oligarchy, or maybe even going into own your own company and do what you want. And then you have regulations that you have to adhere to. So when you are in government, you are of service. So being of service means you're trying to do the best for as many people as you can. It's not an easy job, y'all. Like, it's not an easy job. So we can sit here and be, armchair prime ministers and presidents, but when you're actually in those positions, it can be really tough. So this Aries new moon eclipse is going to be bringing up bold action and powerful intentions, maybe that you have in your life for courage, independence, and leadership. And you really want to be careful to guard against rash decisions, staying really mindful, because at this time we have 4 planets in water. So there's a lot of emotions going to be coming up at this new moon. And new moons are, again, this karmic destiny piece coming up. It's like, as leadership, as new beginnings, as entrepreneurial things. Where do we want to see new come into the world? What are we wanting change in? What's that leadership? These are all Aries type of themes. So whatever is going to be coming up in your life, you're going to notice that very, very loudly. And I think we're all craving a bold new start, right? The beginning of the year, not so much a new start. And then we're in this retrograde season right now, which really isn't a start. It's a review, it's a recessing, it's going back over things. And this new moon is going to bring about some more spiciness, because we've got not only 2 planets in retrograde. Mercury is at 0 degrees of Aries retrograde. So anything at 0 or 29 degrees, we call that critical degrees or anaretic degrees in astrology. And that brings up for us this, okay, like, we got to pay extra attention to this. So at a 0 degree mark, which is Mercury is at 0 degrees of Aries, this is about learning how to be our own authority, learning how to understand what are the facts. Mercury, because it's all about the mind, right? What are the facts? What am I listening to? What am I thinking is an authority? And where am I holding myself back because I don't think I know enough? So that could be coming up for you. Now, we also have Venus retrograde in Pisces. So this is, again, this feeling of like, what's aligned with my values? Have I really been listening to my intuition, or have I been abdicating authority again because everyone is telling me this is what I should be doing? What do I really want? And am I allowed to want things, or do I feel like I should be in service to everybody else all the time? And then we also have Neptune. at the 29th degree of Pisces. So Venus and Neptune sitting together at the 29th degree of Pisces. The 29th degree of Pisces is very, very disillusion, very deceitful. Like there's a lot of, we don't know what's truth, right? It's like there's such a fog around it, that, or the rose colored glasses, everything feels so positive and wonderful, and oh, we can just make it all happen. And then we overcommit, or we give our money to the wrong person. This is very swindly energy. So being really careful again with who you say yes to, what you're clicking on. Don't click on any, links. I'm so much, someone just sent me a link and it's like, this is a hilarious video. I'm like, what's the video of? I'm not clicking on any links. And she's like, no, this is a legit video. I'm like, I'm not clicking on the link. You tell me what it is. Like, it's just like, okay, she tell. Because I'm like, this energy right now is like, trust no one, really trust no one. Don't send me any links. I'm clicking on nothing. I'm very much watching my social media and making sure you have two-factor authentication out on things, backing up your computers. Like, this is that kind of energy. So it's not to be the word is like mistrustful or fearful. It's really just to be cautious and discerning. Okay, those are very Virgoan words, but cautious and discerning. And the planet that rules Aries is Mars. Now, Mars just came out of retrograde and is just starting to pick up, very slowly starting to pick up speed, but he is still in Cancer. Cancer is considered a fall sign for Mars to be in. Mars doesn't like to be in that sign because it's very feely, right? If Mars wants to go and do. Aries is fire, it's energy, it's let's go, let's bold, let's get something done. And Cancer is like, let's feel about that first. Let's have safety around that first. And Mars like, no, we don't think, we just do. And Mars being in Cancer, so that's, very feely sign. So that's amping up the energy of emotions and sensitivity during this new moon. But also it is exactly 22 degrees square to Chiron. Chiron's called the wounded healer in astrology. It's an asteroid. And the wounded healer says that as we heal others, so do we heal ourselves. So it's inherently a bit of a tougher planet to deal with. It's not technically a planet, it's an asteroid, but we consider it sort of, in some astrology, we consider it. And in this one, because it was square exactly, I considered it. So this Cancer squaring to Aries is very much the energy of safety versus self-worth. Safety versus self-worth. So Mars in Cancer is deeply emotional, protective, and sometimes defensive, and it fights for security, home, and what feels safe. Chiron in Aries, on the other hand, represents wounds around identity, self-worth, and the right to take up space in the world. And when these two form a square, it can bring up a deep-seated pain related to taking action, asserting oneself, and feeling safe to express anger or passion. With this aspect exact during the Aries new moon eclipse, it could act as a catalyst for emotional breakthroughs or confrontations. Now, we have choice. So you can choose it to be a breakthrough, or noticing where you're feeling like your self-worth is being questioned, or yet again, you're giving up so someone else can benefit, or you don't want to make a fuss, or you don't want to be too loud, right? Like, all of that stuff is about identity. And where can you take up space? So, key themes are going to be triggers around assertion. You may feel resistance when standing up for yourself or asserting your needs, especially when emotionally charged situations present. So, probably not the best time to be like, no, you listen to me. They're probably like, you listen to me. So instead, being like, you know what, thank you so much for showing me how you feel. I'm going to need to come back to this in 24 hours and we can have a conversation. Maybe that's something that's available to you. Emotional reactions. Cancer's influence on Mars makes anger or frustration more indirect. So it might come out as passive aggressive or withdrawal or emotional outbursts. So really staying grounded, because guess what? There's only one lonely planet in Earth during the time of this eclipse. And we really want to anchor down into, so we need more grounding in the collective. So that meditation before you leave the house, the white light boundary around you, making sure you feel your feet on the ground, staying in your body when things are coming up for you, and healing through courage. So The key to working this energy is to notice where you hold back out of fear or gently challenge yourself to move through the discomfort. So, how to work with this energy? Acknowledge your triggers, channel energy constructively. This is a great way to, exercise, breath work, crying, journaling, talking it out with someone who is neutral in all of this. And neutral is important. You don't want to talk with someone who's going to take your side and be like, yeah, screw them, because that's just going to amp up the way that you feel. You really want someone to hold neutrality. Sounds like you're going through a tough time. This sounds terrible. How are you doing? It's not like this person is wrong and you're right, or you're wrong and they're right. Like, we're not looking for that. We're just looking for a neutral place to feel safe. Practice self compassion and set intentions as you go through your day. So, really setting an intention for the day that I'm going to stay grounded in the face of whatever comes my way. That'd be a really great intention to set during this new moon eclipse. Also, happening just after the eclipse, so later in the day, we have two other things happening. Now, Mercury is now also moving back into Pisces at the 29th degree of Pisces. So, this is going to, your logic is going to blur. It's a time to review past dreams, creative ideas, intuitive insights, a great time to meditate, to reflect, to tune into subtle messages from the universe. It is not a time that you are going to appear very clear. And it's not going to be a time where everyone's communications are going to feel clear. You might misunderstand things. You might read something and put your own emotions in it. So, this is a time to access neutrality, right? Just looking at it as if it's information, because everything in the world is neutral. Everything is neutral. Even bad things that happen, bad things, quote unquote, that happen in the world, there's a neutrality to it. We put on it our side of it, positive or negative. So we can even take, the invasion of Ukraine, right? From Russia's point of view, that was really good. They're taking back, quote unquote, land that used to be theirs. If you are in the Ukraine side of it, Ukraine's like, they invaded us. We're a sovereign country now. We've declared independence, and they massed along our borders, and now they're trying to take back land and resources. So from Ukraine's point of view, that invasion is negative, right? And the invasion is neutral itself. It was they're moving into that border. So now what do we do as a world? Depending on your point of view, you can argue positive or negative. I mean, for both sides of it. Neither one is positive or negative. It just is. Now, if you're the people of Ukraine, it's a really terrible thing that's happening. People are dying. And if you're from Russia, it's a very terrible thing that's happening too, because you're losing soldiers. They don't have to be in there. You can probably tell I'm not neutral on that, but there's going to be a neutral stance to take on anything. I'll probably just stop there, but it's like there's a neutral stance to take off everything and just look at the information of it. So, Mercury retrograde now moving into Pisces, very murky time for us all. Lots of misinformation and propaganda can come up, and being aware of that. So, journaling your dreams. Also, Mercury is our communication, and Pisces rules dream state. So, it's a time of the subconscious dream state, things coming up that way. So, meditations are going to be more wild in terms of like more vivid. Your dreams might be more wild and vivid as well. So, keeping a dream journal now is going to be really important. Some good things can come up through there that you might not even be aware of. They're coming from your subconscious. And of course, because Mercury is going into Pisces, Mercury and Neptune coming together, this is a lot of communication that's going to be confusing. So, really checking for active listening, right? What I heard you say was this. Is that correct? Well, I didn't say it like that. So, okay, so if we take out my tone, this is what, like, I've literally had conversations where I'm going through this transit in my own personal chart, and I'm literally just trying to get clarity. And the person is thinking that I'm being condescending. Like, there's not a condescending bone in my body. And during that time, I think there is a condescending bone in my body, if I'm being honest. But there is that moment I was trying to get clarity, and this person was like just going off because they thought I was being rude, and I was not being rude. I was trying to find clarity. And that happens a lot in my life because of an aspect in my chart. So I really have to notice. I use my other gifts of intuition and empathy. As an empath, I can feel when the other person is feeling triggered. So I will change my questioning, or move into kind of back and forth between fawning, which is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I hear what you're saying. No, I never wanted to upset you. And then clarity as well. Can you just please tell me like what you were meaning by that so I can make sure that I'm on the same page as you? So just noticing those things. And then finally, we have Neptune moving into Aries. This is a very big transit. Neptune moves signs every 14 years. So it is not often that that happens. And he's just going to dip in during these few months and then dip back out again and then go all the way into Aries next year. So this is a glimpse into the future. And when these slow outer planets move signs, we pay attention because it doesn't happen very often. So the energy shifting is going to affect the collective in a greater way than if Mercury is just moving signs, because I mean, we go through that every year, right? Mercury is a fast planet, whereas Neptune's very slow planet. So Neptune shift into Aries is going to be until October 22nd. So that's when it's going to go back into Neptune again. So between now and October 22nd, we're going to get a glimpse into the future on what this is going to feel like. Now Neptune is at home in Pisces. It likes to be there. This is where it's like ethereal, one love, compassion. But now when Neptune goes into Aries, this is a very different signature. This is a new era of spiritual leadership, Aries, personal courage, Aries, vision driven action, Aries. And the vision is the Neptunian piece. So this long-term transit asks us to blend faith with action, step into spiritual courage and visionary leadership. Beware of illusion based activism and false leaders. So Neptune coming into Aries, I think we're actually going to see a lot of leaders being exposed for who they are. And I think a lot of cults as well are going to be either exposed or birthed during this time, because we want that leader. We're looking to leaders in the spiritual world to help us because we are not finding what we want in the mundane world. Energetic theme, there's a spiritual boldness and visionary action now. So what dream can you start to make real during this time? This energy between March 30th and October 22nd, there is an energy here of bringing dreams to reality, of spiritual leaders stepping up in their community, of people taking bold action that align with their intuition and their inner vision. Now, of course, we're not taking big bold action in this moment in time. Number one, because we just came out of an eclipse. And number 2 and 3 is because Mercury and Venus are retrograde. So not times to be actioning anything or moving anything forward. The real time when the energy looks like it's really starting to move forward is on May 1st. So we're not, we're at the end of March. Can you believe it already? The first quarter of the year under our belt. And we're going to be moving into the second quarter starting next week. So, I don't know about you, but this feels like I've had 3 years already. 2025. We've just been going through so much as a collective in my own life and my clients' lives, in the community's lives and fellow practitioners' lives. Like there has been so much death, cancer diagnosis, divorces, relationships ending, new things beginning. It's been wild, just absolutely wild how much is shifting. I really don't know anyone that hasn't been untouched in some way from this first 3 months of the year. So I'm sending you so much love. This is a longer podcast today on the astrology because there's a lot going on this week. And I hope you see the opportunities in every day. There's nothing that's set in stone, right? Even when I had that emergency a few weeks ago in my family, that I was like, I know I have free will in this and I can action this energy in a way that has the best possible outcome. And that's why I called in prayers. That's why I did my own meditation. That's why I stayed grounded in the face of adversity, because I know I get to affect I have choices. I can affect situations. I have agency. And I hope that the astrology shows you that you have agency. There is nothing to fear. Eclipses are big opportunity moments to notice what is trying to shift, this big evolutionary moments in the collective. So what is needing to shift and what is stagnant? That is what's been happening. This year is about there's no more time to waste. So anything that has been stagnant, any spirits that are like, no, I don't want to move forward, then it's their exit now. We're going to have a major exit of spirits this year again, because when there's big shifts in energy, those cycles are coming to completion. And logically, when a cycle comes to completion, souls exit the earth. So we're going to see more spirits ending, taking their next, transition into the next life. And it doesn't mean that they're like doing it, it's just part of their cycle. So it's very, very interesting. It doesn't make anything easier. Even as a medium, we're still going through grief. And this is going to be a time when we need the most people pulling up, being in their purpose, helping others, healers, doing healing, because this collective needs so much healing if we're going to move into the next paradigm. So thank you for being here. I know you are part of the movement if you are listening, because I only draw in those people and I repel everybody else. Bless, bless. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I am sending you so much love from source through my heart to you to navigate this week ahead and come out the other side smelling like roses and shining your light, because the world really does need you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.shetellstory.com and follow us on Instagram at shetellstory. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Shetell Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legalese that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Shetell Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.